Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Mystic and the Dreamers podcast. I'm Priscilla de Macedo, and I have
Peter H. Fugdal.
here with me today, and we're going to be discussing the shadow side of the Aquarian Age. And this is a topic that I've actually wanted to kind of go into a little bit of details about because it's something that has always been talked about amongst all the New Agers,
Totally. I mean, the Aquarian Age is a concept that started, at least in people's minds, in the 60s. The age of Aquarius was something that a lot of people connected to the hippie movement, meaning that this period supposedly started in the 1960s, which probably is bullshit. Because what we're talking about is that the world goes through astrological phases of 2,000 years. And we have been in the Piscean Age for 2,000 years. A lot of people said that the symbolic start of that was Jesus Christ and the image that has gone through mysticism and Christianity of two fishes bound together has to do with that age. So that was kind of the kick-off for the Piscean Age. And we are now slowly coming out of that and moving into the Aquarian Age. However, you cannot not decide that this happened in the 60s and that the hippie movement was part of that. Or maybe you could say it was part of that. But since we're talking about an age that lasts, 2,000 years, it's a slow movement, probably over 100 years, where you slowly move from one age into another. So the Piscean Age that we are coming out of was the age of religion, the age of faith, the age of everything you actually connect with the sun sign of Pisces. Also the very emotional, the searching after truth in all shapes and forms. And now we are then moving into a more detached age of Aquarius, but also an age that will probably mean that we hope, move into a bigger sense of humanity, of community, but also an age of technology. So I think one of the challenges in the age that we are moving into, the Aquarian Age, is the challenge of how are we going to use technology in a way that we don't become dehumanized. Sorry, I can't talk.
It's okay. I just wanted to kind of touch back a little bit on what you said about what makes it the Aquarian Age. So what are the actual how you say it? Is it because of is it community? What makes the Aquarian Age? Like, set us up for like what that actually means. Is it community? Is it more to do with like I know obviously it's far more advanced in technology, but what is it about the Aquarian Age that makes it like such a special thing, and why people talk about it, you think?
But it's not special. I mean that is wrong. It's not special more than any other sign. It's not special. It's not better either than Pisces.
I'm not saying it's better,
but
there are a lot of the qualities.
There are a lot of people who always thought that when we move into the Aquarian Age, there will be no wars. That's kind of the hippie movement. There will be no problems. We're all gonna be one. But what it stands for, I actually mentioned, it stands for a larger sense of community, a larger understanding of what humanity is, that we are all connected. And then for technology, that we really have to watch out that it doesn't take over, because the most technological advanced sign of the 12 is Aquarius. That is the sign of great inventions. So one of the challenges we are moving into is how are we going to deal with artificial intelligence, all the genetic manipulation that's taking place, that is definitely going to be part of it. And that I see as the shadow side of the Aquarian Age. I also think we move into a time where communities are going to be more important, that we probably move towards an age where of globalization, of course, where you can say Pisces, that is a water sign, emotional, had more to do with, I'm only connected to people who are like me. Then the Aquarian Age being more detached and also more open and also more curious will have to do with we need a different kind of community now. And more tolerance as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason why I wanted to do this podcast about the shadow side of the Aquarian Age is because I've actually had a lot of, maybe 3 dreams specifically about, it's something to do with my dreams. I sometimes go way into the future, and one of them happened to be that I actually was traveling up to, this has never happened before to me, so it was really quite striking. It was a very shamanistic dream of mine where I was actually looking to time travel, but I had to go to the Amazon and actually catch a boar as asking for a shaman to help me. And I had to trap this boar, and along all this, I was able to travel once I trapped this animal, which was really interesting in my dream, is that I was actually traveling 10 lifetimes. So it was interesting because as I was progressing in seeing things in the dreams unfold, it was very clear that all the technology things obviously were going to advance, but to a point where at the very end of my dream, it was really beautiful too. I saw a lot of things like you could see music, not just hear it. You can see it every time you play it. It was very weird, and your clothes were like this very holographic fashion where it changes with your mood. It changes with whatever's going on. So it's like very, very futuristic for sure. The furniture too had that same type of quality where it was changing, like the patterns were changing, and so it was like very interesting. It looked really fun as well. But as I was progressing, at the very end there, all I kept getting more was the impression of mechanical sounds, machine sounds. Completely like something out of the Terminator almost. Like, I didn't even want to open my eyes because I realized that there was no prana, there was no life force. I couldn't feel, like, I know that sounds really bizarre, but it sounds like I couldn't feel the plants or the trees or any life force around me. So I don't know if maybe I just tapped into a very artificial type of life where it was just mechanical, and that really scared me. I didn't want to open my eyes in that life, in my dream, because I knew if I opened my eyes, I couldn't see life as trees and animals, and so that really scared me, But thinking back, what you said about advanced technology and how we have to actually be careful with this is the mere fact that we have such wonderful technology as it is, and I think that's really a beautiful part with the Aquarian Age is that we are able to, for example, we have all these solar power, we have electric cars, we have all this technology that can actually help us with environmental issues that has been plaguing us in society for quite a while, with all the garbage and all the trashes in the oceans, and looking at these alternate sites of energy sources so we can live a better life and also not degrade Mother Earth. I think that's the most important thing we can take out of that is don't degrade Mother Earth or don't make her for profit, with all these businesses always looking for the dollar, but yet at the cost of our food, at the cost of soil, at the cost of clean water, clean air. That has got to stop. So that's exactly why I think moving into this age is very interesting, to where I think we are at that juncture point where we have that technology and we have the choice now. With what Peter said about artificial intelligence, that's another scary thing, in my opinion. I think it's great that it can help us in labor and in work, so, and there's that whole economy side of things, right, that we're talking about, but maybe there's something about giving us more freedom to do the things we actually enjoy, or help people out that way with artificial intelligence. But then there's that shadow side of, as you can, let's give an example here. It's actually happening right now in Japan with people not having relationships, one-on-one relationships with each other. It's like there's no physical touch. There's no relating now. Yeah. Everything's automatically or robotic and over the internet. So we are really losing touch. We're really losing touch with humanity or being human.
But I mean, the thing is, if we want to simplify this, we are moving out of a very emotional and personal age, Pisces, and we are moving into a more detached, but also in a certain sense, more cold, in the good sense of the word also. So cold doesn't sound good. A more detached, more cool.
Impersonal.
Impersonal was the word I was looking for. Thank you so much. And I think we see that every day, as Scylla says, just the fact that that we end up having our most meaningful conversations with the help desk at Google or Apple, that we're also at a point where we hardly can get a personal talk with our phone company or with any kind of organization, that everything is automized. Nothing is very personal. Also, another thing I think is very Aquarian, and coming from Denmark and to the US, I was always puzzled by that how easy it is to offend people by being too personal in the US. Like just a few years back, it was it's almost gotten to the point that calling people now is too personal. You text.
Oh, that's so true.
Don't call. And when I came over the first time, knocking at someone's door, especially if you live in a bigger city like Portland, to some people is almost scary. Why couldn't you call? Meaning, why couldn't you text? So, and we also know from a lot of the young people that because people are online all the time, they're on the phone all the time, they're texting, that a thing like, friendship is actually getting unfashionable. So the personal touch is disappearing. So what I said in the beginning is, there's no need to look down on the Piscean age and look up to the Aquarian age. They are two different energies, very different energies, both with minuses and pluses. I would say though, since I bet that most of us who even bother listening to this, that in terms of spirituality, I have no doubt that our spirituality is changing. We also see that in the world. We are moving away from the religions, and I think that is why you see all those scandals. People who were naive would have said like 5 or 10 years ago, oh, it's only the Catholics.
Right.
Because they got all the bad press and they deserved it too. But it's not just the Catholics, because the problem actually is the human ego. When you have power, how do you use it? And don't tell me that that's worse among Catholics than it is among evangelics, among Protestants, among Buddhists, among Muslims. Every time we have huge organizations, every time we don't know how to deal with our egos, and our egos slowly feel that we are, and here comes the worst word, entitled. When we feel we are entitled to do what others are not, then we have the problem. So I think that what is happening now about religions falling apart is actually a very, very good sign if you believe in God. I see that as a very godly thing, not as I'm sure a lot of people in organized religion will see this as the work of Satan.
Well,
it's the opposite.
It's also something interesting because, I'm not trying to offend anybody that is religious here, okay? I'm just saying it is interesting because if you really look back from a bigger perspective, religion is human-made, right? Man made it. So it's not like it came from Source and Source gave you all this instructions. you know.
Inspired by source. Though,
it's
to a certain
inspired by
extent.
source,
Yeah.
but it's not like...
I don't quite agree, but yeah.
Well, I don't agree
Yeah.
that there's a God on a throne and he's writing down all these instructions to give us all, like, what to do either. Like,
No,
you
but
know,
that's mythology, yeah.
that's religion.
Yeah.
It's man-made. Man made it. Obviously, there's inspiration. I'm not saying... I think we're all connected to the divine, and I think we're all connected to...
But I mean, Moses
God's
might
source.
have gotten the same...
Absolutely.
The same divine inspiration as everybody else.
But look
you know?
how bad religion has got with dividing everybody.
But that's not Moses' fault. The same way that's not Jesus' fault either.
Well, this is not a topic of... this is not about a podcast of religion. What I'm saying is it's human-made.
Right.
Human made these issues. Human made this problem.
The structures are human-made.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So, so there's that aspect. So definitely all this institutions that are... like I said before on our last podcast about the Saturn conjunction, all those institutions that are no longer in integrity are the ones that you're seeing falling away, and that's why religion...
I agree with that.
Yeah, is definitely one of them. But getting back to that, you know, what I really want you to take away from this was that we have to be very mindful now in our technology, because as you already know, things are already happening even behind closed doors, and we're hearing little whispers of it. This for example, like Elon Musk, he's actually constructing these biochips that can be implanted in a person's brain, so you can talk to your computer, so you can get all the downloads from your computer. So that's another thing about the shadow side of Aquarian Age. It's almost like the Aquarians want to like be a hybrid of a robot, a hybrid of the artificial intelligence. So there's going to be a lot of this going on, especially as this age progresses. When we get there, is that we're always going to be constantly asking, are we pushing that border of humanness versus artificial intelligence to its max? And we have to be very mindful. The other thing, too, with this is that, as you already know, many companies like Facebook and Google are already selling your data, right? So they know everything about you as you log in, and they're selling it for profit. So they're selling your data. They're selling information about you, of like your dislikes and likes and all this stuff. So there's a lot of that, too. A lot of this like very mental concept of what makes your personalities into profit. So this is a very interesting thing. It's like we're trying to become a faster version of a computer, because we have all this power to get all this information in the palms of our hands or a click of a finger, and we're trying to have that in our own mind, our own brains. And so there's going to be a lot of that going on too. The other thing about the shadow side of the Aquarian Age is, of course, as you can already tell, when we don't have the one-on-one connection, of a relationship, guess what happens to, fertility, Infertility increases. We don't make babies, population decreases, whatever. Not that I'm saying that's also a bad thing. We got to balance things out, of course, whatever. But there is that too. There's going to be artificial ways of making babies. There already are, but this is going to also be the other side of this. Do we want to really let go of what makes us uniquely human? Because that's the thing. I think we need to really understand what being human is first, before we give all of our power away to machines.
Yes.
Or give all of our power away to artificial intelligence and whatever this is. So, as we go into this decade and forward, I want you to really think about all these laws and regulations that are going to be pushing that borderline of us, and pushing that border to see how far can we go with technology. And we have to all ask ourselves, well, what makes us human? What makes us uniquely human, and how can we keep this? Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't really want to be a hybrid. I don't want to, it sounds like a sci-fi movie, but I feel like we're moving in that direction.
I don't want you to be a hybrid either.
But, and this is not a joke either. It's like I think we're going to be moving to that very sci-fi hybrid phases of machine versus humans, and what all sci-fi movies have kind of already told us about, like
Yeah.
that spiritual sense of us, and losing connection, losing our emotions, losing all of this that makes us very uniquely human. We have to understand what human is first before we really give all of our power away to machines.
And we also have to understand, which I think is very Aquarian, we have to understand, and this is a cliche, but it's a good cliche, we are all one. We have to understand that faith has nothing to do with just protecting and being kind to the people who think exactly like we do, that we need to broaden that and see everybody and everything, animals, planet Earth, people we meet on the street, people we don't like, people who don't vote for the same party as we do. We have to understand we are all one. We have to see humanity and the soul of everything.
Yes, exactly. Don't lose the soul in any of this, for sure.
Exactly. We're all one. It's a cliche, but it's a very, very important cliche.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. I hope that was kind of an interesting topic to touch upon. That is just something I've been witnessing as well as time is changing. But I forgot to ask you, Peter, when do you think this Aquarian Age actually, like from your, I know nobody really knows, but what would you think it would actually...
Well, I think the reason why the world is the way it is now is we are between the two ages.
Gotcha.
So I would think, and most people say it's like a 100-year, maybe even 200-year period where it changes. Where we are in that, I have no idea. I would probably guess halfway through. Okay. So we are half and half right now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next time on our next episode. Have a lovely day.
Who knows when that will be?
Right.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.